Hey, it's Dave. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you my electric bass collection. So as far back as like the late 80s when I had my first bass, I would play some bass stuff and fool around with it. And I always found, growing up as I started on piano and then going to guitar, I figured, well, I should probably play bass too to be rounded out because I kind of understand it already. And when I was in LA, I also did several sessions on bass. And it's something that I enjoy to play. And as of right now, I'm playing in a funk band. I'm playing bass. And I thought I'd show you a few of the basses that I have. I don't have that many. Or do I? Let's see. The first bass that I have, I've had since 2004. This is the oldest one in my collection. This is a 17th Street, built by John Carruthers in Venice, California. It has two EMGs. Really nice, but they also split. You can pull these up and they split. This up until about sometime in 2 years ago was my main bass. I still love the way this guitar plays. I love the all white, the maple neck. It's like a church bass. It's a great player. The next bass in the collection came to me from a consulting gig. I was consulting for a couple of guys who were doing a startup and they were going to build guitars. And after maybe 6 to 8 hours of consulting time, they were like, yeah, they didn't think they were going to do it. And the guy says, just go on my Reverb page and see if there's anything you'd like. Maybe we could work something out. And I said, I like that bass, but I didn't like the bridge on it, so he changed the bridge, and that was this. Fernandez. Now, this bass is from the 90s. Basically a typical Fender jazz bass clone. This is a shallower bridge that I liked much better than the regular bridge. Now, people say, oh, well, why'd you change the bridge? It doesn't change the tone. No, it doesn't. But I like a beefier, heavier bridge. Just a preference playing-wise. It will play a little, you know, like the guitar vibrates, and I like that. But it doesn't mean it's adding sustain. In fact, I've said it before, it usually means because if you feel it vibrate, you're absorbing sustain. But I like the way it feels better. Plugged in, nobody's going to be able to tell me the difference between a jazz bass with a badass or no badass. You cannot hear the difference what's coming out through the pickups. But anyways, this is my Fernandez. You can see it's got a couple of dings here and there. But this is my Fernandez jazz bass. I use this at my rehearsals for my band all the time. It's, I call this my beater bass. It's effing great. I love it. The next instrument, one could say, is a bass. Some say it's a guitar. I've played it mainly as a guitar. Because I've played it in bands where there's a bass playing a part, like in the Aerosmith song, Back in the Saddle. And this is the Fender 6, except this model here is the Squier 6. Some people refer to this instrument as the Bass 6. Now, basically, for me, I treat this like a baritone. Everything's an octave lower than a regular guitar. I do several video demos of this instrument. If you're not familiar with it, you could check it out. But this I picked up on Craigslist for short money. I think I paid $250, and he already did a bunch of mods to it, the improvements on the bridge, and I think may have done something in the trim system here as well. I can't remember all that he said. I do want to change the pickups in this, though. These pickups are not good. They're just, they howl. And one great thing about this instrument is what it sounds like with a little distortion on it. You know, you hear The Cure use it that way, Aerosmith, and they just feed back. I like to get some type of noise canceling pickup for this. So as I said when I showed the 17th Street that used to be my number one, and now it's my number two, in a trade, I traded a Gibson Les Paul Warren Brown Studio to a friend of mine who had this bass brand new, and we traded. Now, I put the black pickguard on, but this is a Music Man Sterling Classic. It has a really narrow nut, which for some reason I love. It's just an absolute great bass. This is what I take out to my gigs to play. This is the Funk Machine. People ask all the time, what do I think of Ernie Ball's stuff? Now, on the guitars, I don't really like the way the necks feel. I feel they're too narrow. I think the regular C shape is boring. However, on a bass, this ultra narrow nut and this shape is just perfect. Why it works for me on bass and not on guitar, I don't know. I don't care. This is great. The Ernie Ball Music Man Sterling Classic USA. Lastly, a bass that I'd picked up most recently was from G&L. For those that watch my podcast, we had Ron on from G&L, and I went to their clearance page, and we worked out an artist deal, and they've always been very good to me. I think G&L's a great company, and they gave me a price I couldn't refuse on this 5-string kiloton bass. It's like a midnight metallic blue, 6-bolt. It's really a nice instrument. I'm not a huge fan of 5-string. I just felt it was necessary to have one, just to, sometimes you need that low B. And this, simple in its design and in its form, is just a really nice playing instrument. And in the words of Mark Lever, which 99% of you people will not know who that is, it's a beautiful instrument. So anyway, that is my electric bass guitar collection. Hope you liked it. If you were interested, I have a Fender Bronco over here, which is the equivalent to my Fender Mustang that I use for my guitar stuff, so I can do bass videos, which I've done a few. I also have an acoustic bass amp here. I have an Ashdown bass head that I take out on gigs with a PV 2x12. Oh, I also have a Line 6 low-down bass amp in my bedroom that I practice on. And I have a Behringer, like a something 600, which I think is like a 300-watt bass amp as well. That's a practice amp. So this is my pedal board for when I'm out playing bass. We have a Korg tuner, a Wampler Ego compressor, a Joyo Ultimate drive. Now, I used to have the OCD, but it broke, and the Joyo seems to be a little bit more dependable. And I basically use it as a clean boost. Sometimes I use it as like a little bit of gain if I have to add a little bit of fuzz to the tone. Bass Deluxe Chorus. And then this here, the Manta from Soundblocks. It's basically like an envelope filter. I use it like the old Mutron type of thing. I only basically use it in like 1 or 2 songs. And that's my bass rig. And this goes into the Ashdown head, into the PV2x12, and then I also DI it to the PA. So those are my basses. That's my pedal board. I hope you found this interesting. And if you didn't, I hope I got you some good sleep. As always, very good.